From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, April 24th. Really cold start. We were in the upper 20s this morning, but we're going to warm up okay by the afternoon with a high of 56. Good news is plenty of sunshine. Former Vice President and Indiana Governor Mike Pence is weighing in on two major topics: his upcoming testimony before a grand jury and the Supreme Court's recent abortion drug ruling. His comments came in a public appearance and on the Sunday morning talk show Circuit. In an interview on Face the Nation, Pence indicated a date is set for his testimony and there are limits to what prosecutors can ask him.
I'm grateful that the court recognized that there are specific constitutional protections unique to the vice president when you're serving in your role as president of the Senate. I thought it was important to make that challenge. For the first time in history, a federal court acknowledged that that provision of the Constitution applies to the vice president, and they've limited what they'll be requesting of me. But beyond that, I can tell you, Robert, we'll obey the law. We'll tell the truth and the story that I've been telling the American people all across the country.
Speaking at a conference in Iowa, Pence said he respects the Supreme Court's decision to allow access to the abortion drug mifepristone for now, but wants it outlawed eventually.
I think that chemical abortions, that mail-order abortions that the Biden administration has now allowed, should be banned, and I would support that view. But I also hope the Supreme Court will make the FDA do its job, a job it did not do 20 years ago, and actually seriously examine this medicine.
The FDA first approved mifepristone in 2000 and in 2016 extended the number of weeks into pregnancy that a patient can use it. Now to the debt ceiling standoff. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is determined to push his proposal. It faces strong Democratic opposition. Still, McCarthy says he has enough support to pass it this week.
We do have a very small majority, only 5 seats, one of the smallest we've ever had. But I cannot imagine someone in our conference that would want to go along with Biden's reckless spending.
McCarthy's legislation includes a $1.5 trillion hike to the debt limit in exchange for spending cuts. The measure would limit growth in government spending to 1% a year, block student loan forgiveness, and introduce tougher requirements for Medicaid. Democrats say they will only agree to a cut-free proposal.
If you go forward as McCarthy wants, what will happen? You will literally see interest rates go up for mortgages, for loans. You're going to see the stock market plummet again.
The nation's debt sits at $31 trillion and just months away from defaulting on debts. The Treasury Department says it's taking extraordinary measures to keep paying the bills. The state lawmakers, dubbed the Tennessee Three, are set to visit the White House. Political rivals expelled Representatives Justin Jones and Justin Pearson and spared Gloria Johnson by 1 vote earlier this month after the trio demonstrated on the Tennessee House floor calling for gun control. Jones explained what he wants to hear from President Biden.
I'm going to lift up the names of Akila Da Silva, of Michael Hill, of these children whose lives were taken in Nashville, and ask for the president to declare a public health emergency when it comes to gun violence. I think that we need emergency response because we're facing a crisis situation, and that in states like ours, we need help from our national leaders because we're in a state where the only action that our colleagues took in response to the mass shooting in Nashville was to expel the 2 youngest black lawmakers and then to pass a law to protect gun manufacturers.
Jones and Pearson are lawmakers once again. Their county commissions reappointed them following the expulsion vote. President Biden is poised to name a senior White House advisor to oversee his 2024 re-election campaign. CNN reports sources close to Biden say Biden's team will appoint Julie Chavez Rodriguez with his official bid. Along with being a longtime Democratic advisor, Rodriguez is the granddaughter of labor icon Cesar Chavez. Sources say Biden's official announcement will come as a video message as early as tomorrow. Also today, jury selection begins in the trial of the man accused of shooting 11 Jewish worshipers to death at a synagogue in Pennsylvania. Robert Bowers faces 63 charges, including 11 hate crime counts. Prosecutors say the 2018 attack is the deadliest act of anti-Semitism in American history. If Bowers is convicted, he could get the death penalty. Indiana Congressman Andre Carson is calling on the Department of Justice to investigate the death of Herman Whitfield III. Whitfield died in Indianapolis police custody last April. 2 IMPD officers involved in the incident were indicted this month. Carson says that's not enough. He shared a thread of tweets calling for the investigation this weekend. He ended with, "Herman's life matters, then, now, and for years to come as we continue to seek justice and reform."
Concern and the reason for bringing this lawsuit is because this was a fire that was going to happen. It was a matter of when, not if it would ever happen.
Attorneys representing a group of people in Richmond say some 2,000 people could be eligible to join a lawsuit. It's against the owner of the industrial building that caught fire earlier this month. Attorneys say it was entirely preventable, and their clients are still dealing with coughing and burning lungs. The city of Richmond cited Seth Smith's business as a fire hazard in 2019. The city's fire chief says the building was filled floor to ceiling with plastic. Roscoe Holder was a neighbor forced to evacuate because of the fire. He's also a plaintiff in the lawsuit.
The black smoke and stuff, it was really close to our house. We could see it blowing over our house, and we could smell it. The smell was just horrible.
Attorneys say they're working to figure out exactly how much money the fire has cost to determine damages. They say they're also considering adding the city to the suit if they determine it didn't do enough to ensure Smith took care of the building violations. Anyone suffering from the effects of the fire can contact the Crossan Law Firm for legal advice. The chancellor of Purdue University Northwest, reprimanded for using an Asian accent during graduation, will stay on for another year. Some school leaders are not happy about that decision. The Purdue Board of Trustees decided to extend Thomas Keon's contract. Keon will step down as chancellor, but not until next year, and then he will remain on the faculty. That's according to an email obtained by the Chicago Tribune. In that email, Keon stated that his decision was due to the Purdue University system's limitations on how long a chancellor can serve. As we've reported, the school reprimanded Keon in December after he did an impression of the Asian language during a winter commencement ceremony. He apologized amid calls for his resignation. Faculty Senate Chair Thomas Roach now accuses a privileged few on the Board of Trustees of protecting one of their own. He says keeping Keon on the faculty further alienates members of the minority communities. Roach issued a review of the board in a statement to News 8. He says, "The board continues to make decisions that run contrary to the needs and values of the university and that violate the precedents of university governance. They're refusing to answer questions and to justify their actions regarding the public insult to the Asian community. And they've ignored the no confidence vote on Chancellor Thomas Keon. This is an activist board of trustees that was assembled in a highly partisan political environment and is acting without respect for the values, goals, and traditions of the university." The Post-Tribune reports that the Board of Trustees is now searching for a new chancellor. 3 Republicans are running for Carmel mayor in next week's primary. News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist spoke with each of them for this Sunday's episode of All Indiana Politics.
Longtime Carmel Mayor Jim Brainerd is retiring after an unprecedented 7 terms in office. 3 Republicans are running in the primary to succeed him: Fred Glenn, Kevin Ryder, and Sue Finken. Brainerd is known for his environmental work. I asked each of the Republican candidates how they plan to continue it.
My environmental issues will involve making sure that we preserve grass. When a development comes in there, we want gathering spaces for the communities that they're going to be housing. A lot of these apartments right now, it's nothing but concrete. We need to have gathering spaces in there, maybe a small playground. So if you're living in an apartment, you go outside, there's a place for you to gather or take your child or that type of thing.
Carmel has kind of set an example. Just last year, we passed a bond to connect all of our paths. We want people to have as many options as they can to interact with, whether they want to bike, whether they want to walk. All of our new garages and buildings that we do, we try and incorporate solar panels. We're transitioning our vehicles from gas to, first it was hybrid, now we're talking some electric. We'll do as much of that as we can, and we'll continue that.
Work closely with our residents. Again, they have a say in the community in which they pay taxes and live and work. Carmel did pass a climate action plan that we had lots of community input on, and so that was passed unopposed with a lot of support, and so continue to knock off those things we identified in that plan as important.
The winner of the primary on May 2nd will face Democrat Miles Nelson in November. He's unopposed in his primary. All Indiana Politics airs every Sunday morning at 9:30 exclusively on Wish TV. In Carmel, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
Happening today, Indianapolis is hosting fire and rescue experts from around the world for the annual Fire Department Instructors Conference. FDIC International is North America's leading firefighter conference. More than 30,000 firefighters are expected this week in Marion County. Fire and rescue professionals from around the world will have access to 250 high-quality, world-class instructors and 91 workshops. More than 800 companies will display products and services. There will also be hands-on training. The goal is to recharge firefighters and ignite their passion for the fire industry. The FDIC is also working to give back with their corporate program called Clarion Cares. Their goal for 2023 is to help Ukrainian firefighters. The generosity of attendees and vendors, Clarion supplied several tons of gear and collected more than $300,000. They'll use a portion of the money to fly in 3 Ukrainian firefighters. They'll share their stories about fighting in the war in Ukraine to build awareness and collect donations of money, PPE, and equipment to take back home. The event is Monday through Friday. Pre-registration is suggested. You can choose to attend the conference by yourself or with a group. One ticket for just the exhibits will cost $52. This is the 29th year Indianapolis has hosted the event, and new this year is the Fire Rescue Station of the Future exhibit at Lucas Oil Stadium. A writer's walkout is 1 week away in Hollywood. The strike, approval by the Writers Guild of America, sets a deadline of May 1st for a new deal with the television and film producers. The Guild claims the rise in streaming and a shortening of TV seasons have made it difficult for writers to make a living. An attorney who represents independent producers explains how a strike could affect what you will and won't see.
What you're looking at is sort of shows that you are anticipating a season coming up with in the next few months could be delayed as much as a year, if not more, depending on how the strike plays out.
The last writers' strike in 2007 lasted 100 days. The Writers Guild is negotiating with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents entertainment giants like Disney, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Amazon, and others. To business headlines, the Justice Department joins a federal probe into Southwest Airlines' December struggles. The Department of Transportation said it's conducting a rigorous and comprehensive investigation. They're looking to see if Southwest unrealistically scheduled flights during the holidays. Bed Bath & Beyond filed for bankruptcy Sunday. It anticipates closing all of its stores as well as the Bye Bye Baby stores that it also owns. Customers will have Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday to use their remaining 20% off coupons at their stores. The week ahead will provide investors more data on how some of the biggest players in corporate America started the year, with tech giants including Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta platforms all set to report quarterly results. Apple is reportedly working on a health-led journaling app. This app could act as a life tracker of sorts, analyzing what your typical day is like, where you go, who you interact with, and when you differentiate from a standard routine. A new report by research company Morning Consult says business travel will never return to normal. Tighter corporate budgets and new ways of virtual working have permanently changed business travel. Also, business travelers are now younger and more likely to fly in economy class. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.